Noam Chomsky, and The Mechanics of Manufacturing Consent. Have you ever stopped to wonder how millions of people living in a free, democratic society can all look at complex world events and somehow end up believing the exact same things? In countries that live under strict, obvious dictatorships, the government controls the minds of its citizens by using brute force, military police, and explicit state censorship. If a journalist writes something critical of a dictator, their newspaper is shut down, and they are thrown into prison. In a free democracy, however, we do not see military police standing inside television studios, and newspapers are legally allowed to criticize political leaders. We proudly tell ourselves that we have a completely free press that acts as an independent watchdog, protecting ordinary citizens from corruption and lies. Yet, despite this apparent freedom, mainstream news channels and newspapers consistently echo the exact same political viewpoints, support the same foreign wars, and defend the same economic systems. A brilliant, highly influential linguist and social critic named Noam Chomsky, along with his co-author Edward Herman, looked closely at this strange paradox and realized that democracies do not need to use physical violence to control public opinion. Instead, they developed a powerful sociological framework called manufacturing consent, revealing that the wealthy elite use a series of quiet, invisible market pressures to carefully shape the news, ensuring that the public voluntarily agrees to political agendas that favor corporate power. To fully understand Noam Chomsky's theory, we must first look at the clever title of his book, which uses the phrase manufacturing consent. Usually, the word manufacture is reserved for factories that mass-produce tangible objects like cars, clothing, or smartphones. The word consent means voluntary agreement. By putting these two words together, Noam Chomsky is making a profound argument. He is saying that in a modern capitalist democracy, public opinion is not something that arises naturally from an informed population. Instead, public opinion is a manufactured product, deliberately designed, packaged, and mass-produced by the corporate media. Chomsky explains that the media accomplishes this feat through a highly sophisticated mechanism known as the propaganda model. Instead of relying on a government dictator to censor the news, the propaganda model relies on 5 distinct institutional filters that automatically weed out radical ideas, dissent, and critical voices before they can ever reach the public eye. The very first institutional filter described by Noam Chomsky is the sheer size, concentrated wealth, and profit orientation of mainstream media corporations. A long time ago, a newspaper could be started by a small group of local citizens with a modest printing press. Today, the major television networks, newspapers, and digital platforms that control the global flow of information are massive, multi-billion-dollar conglomerates owned by wealthy individuals and investment firms. These media empires are businesses, and their primary goal is not to educate the public or expose deep structural injustices. Their primary goal is to make a profit for their corporate shareholders. Because these corporations are deeply embedded in the global capitalist system, they share the exact same economic interests as the political elite. Naturally, they are highly unlikely to broadcast news stories that criticize corporate greed, question the validity of capitalism, or threaten the financial systems that keep them incredibly wealthy. The second crucial filter in the propaganda model is the media's absolute dependence on advertising revenue. Most people assume that when they watch the evening news or browse a major news website, they are the customers purchasing a service. Noam Chomsky completely shatters this assumption by pointing out that ordinary viewers are not the customers. They are actually the product. The real customers of mainstream media are the massive corporate advertisers who pay millions of dollars to place their commercials during news segments. Because news channels rely entirely on advertising dollars to survive, they are highly incentivized to produce content that keeps those corporate advertisers completely happy. A news station will think twice before running an investigative report on environmental pollution if the primary culprit is a major automobile or oil company that funds their entire broadcast. meaning the news is constantly sanitized to fit corporate interests. The third filter involves the media's reliance on official sources for information. News organizations must produce content 24 hours a day, which requires a massive, steady stream of daily information. To save money and maintain access, media corporations place their reporters at official hubs of power, such as the White House, the Pentagon, and major police headquarters. Over time, journalists develop a cozy, dependent relationship with government spokespeople and corporate public relations departments. If a news channel wants to get an exclusive interview with a top government official, they cannot afford to ask deeply uncomfortable or adversarial questions. This creates a situation where the media willingly allows the political elite to set the news agenda, relying on official press releases and government statements as unquestioned facts, while ignoring the perspectives of ordinary working-class citizens or anti-war activists. The fourth filter is a powerful disciplinary tool that Noam Chomsky terms flack. Flack refers to the immediate, negative feedback, public condemnation, and financial pressure that hits a journalist or a news organization whenever they dare to step outside the boundaries of acceptable corporate opinion. This can take the form of lawsuits, organized advertising boycotts, angry letters from wealthy donors, or aggressive public relations campaigns designed to destroy a reporter's credibility. If a journalist writes an article that seriously challenges government policy, powerful conservative think tanks and corporate lobbies will immediately generate immense flack to punish them. This constant threat creates a culture of intense self-censorship, where everyday journalists consciously or subconsciously choose to write safe, unchallenging stories, rather than risking their careers by telling uncomfortable truths. The fifth and final filter is the creation of a common ideological enemy to unite the public in fear, which Chomsky originally identified as anti-communism and which has adapted in modern times to the global war on terror. By keeping the population constantly afraid of an external, evil enemy, the political and corporate elite can easily justify massive military spending, foreign interventions, and the reduction of civil liberties at home. When the media frames the entire world as a simple battle between good and evil, anyone who questions foreign policy or advocates for peace is immediately labeled as unpatriotic or dangerous. This filter effectively shuts down any meaningful, nuanced debate, channeling public energy away from domestic economic inequalities and directing it toward a manufactured external threat. Ultimately, Noam Chomsky's theory of manufacturing consent serves as an urgent wake-up call for everyone living in a modern democratic society. It challenges us to stop passively consuming the news and start actively analyzing the corporate and financial structures that control it. His work reminds us that genuine democracy cannot exist without a truly independent, critical, and well-informed citizenship. By equipping us with the sociological tools to see through the illusions of the propaganda model, Noam Chomsky invites us to seek out independent media, question official narratives, and build community-driven networks of truth that can challenge corporate power and restore genuine voice to ordinary people. Thank you so much for taking the time to read through this detailed article on sociology, media criticism, and the brilliant theory of manufacturing consent by Noam Chomsky. If you found this explanation clear, eye-opening, and deeply valuable for understanding how public opinion is shaped in our modern world, please make sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel right now. Do not forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video upload, and please feel free to share your own thoughts, questions, or personal observations about media bias and independent journalism in the comments section below.